So I've been a social justice advocate for years. And 2020 was a tough one, especially for athletes. From Atlanta, where John Lewis was a representative, I was actually in his district that he represented. And he was someone that showed me how to stand up and fight for what you believe in. I was shocked when he passed, but also grateful that I was actually in the city where I could go pay my respects in person. It's a very emotional and personal experience. I felt like I knew him. I took some time there, knelt the steps for about 10 minutes, and just thought about his contributions and vowed to continue to fight. Rest in peace, John Lewis. So when I got to the steps, I took a self-portrait protesting police brutality with my fist in the air. So at the U.S. Capitol, I ran into some young kids with their grandma. They had signs supporting John Lewis. Then I walked to the Black Lives Matter Plaza to take a photo of the street sign. Then I walked to Lincoln Memorial. When I saw people holding signs supporting Black Lives Matter, I was fortunate enough to then visit Seattle and go onto the zone where the police station had been taken over by protesters. This is where I saw a man dressed as Darth Vader with the words, "I can't breathe," on his mask, while he was holding a book by James Baldwin. While I was there, I took my Black Lives mask off, placed it on the ground, took a photo on it. It was a year of protest for me. And that is the best way for me to remember 2020. I'm Chris Cathern. I'm a photographer, independent movie director that is focused on making social justice movies and documentaries aimed at changing the world. So during this time, I spoke about the grandma with the two young kids. So the photo that I took, they were in, basically it was about voting rights. And right now, it's something that we're still waiting on Congress to act upon. We're still waiting on voting rights. And that was the big thing that John Lewis was pushing for. And I thought it was really appropriate that these young girls who were probably 10, 11, 12 years old with their grandma were sitting there protesting for rights that their grandmother didn't have years ago. And now, right now, they're fighting for those same rights today.
What are those rights?
Being able to vote without restriction, without getting your vote tossed, without having to wait in line for 6 hours, being able to drink water, bring water to people waiting in line for 6 hours. Those things were being made illegal in 2020. And that's why Congress is supposed to act on the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. So, and for me, part of the reason why I was in that city is I was stuck because of the pandemic. I couldn't get back to Thailand because they had shut the country down. So I was stuck living in a hotel. George Floyd had, recently happened. I was really unhappy, and then he passed. So it was a very emotional kind of experience for me, as someone who was also an activist. And I felt like I needed to go down there to pay my respects to John Lewis.
Where is he from?
Originally,
what's the district that you said you're a part of?
So it's Atlanta, in Atlanta. So I actually, after he passed, I actually voted for his replacement. I was able to vote for his replacement.
And what was so significant about him?
He's a very known civil rights activist. He was, a young civil rights activist during the civil rights movement, marched with Dr. Luther King. He was there in Selma. He was beaten on the bridge. It's a very, very well-known story. And he continued to fight for voting rights. And he's still today, until he died, was still fighting for those same voting rights.
You said 2020 is a year of protest for you.
Yeah, it was a year I had some disagreements with my company at the time. I ended up having a lot of talks with the CEO and vice president and enacting a couple of different initiatives, challenging conversations.
What kind of field do you work in?
Computer engineering. And it was tough for me because I was at work when they showed the George Floyd video for the first time I saw it. I was at work and I just kind of broke down, and it was just unbelievable to me to be seen in that work. And then it was just like, I couldn't just go on, regular working my work day. I left work and sent some things to my company because they didn't say anything about it. And then started talking about, okay, we need to start having conversations, especially amongst, the white and Black people in the office. And we kind of set that up and start doing that like once a month, basically, where people kind of got to express themselves and things that they were dealing with, trauma, and just share life experience.
That's in person or online?
Some of it was in person. Because of the pandemic, we had like maybe 10 people in the room and everyone else was dialing in.
Did you get tired that year of like having to keep explaining what was happening for the past?
Absolutely, yes. But I appreciate it also because there were a lot of people who actually cared, who reached out and wanted to know different things. So yes, I got tired of it, but it was also something like, I also produce social justice independent movies. So it's something that's all in my wheelhouse. So yes, it was tiring, but yes, it's also something that I do.
So did it give you energy or did it drain you?
Both.
To photograph and document and explain.
You're energized. I would say overall it was energizing because I was posting things every day. I was writing things. I was writing articles, as well as doing photos, writing blogs, doing podcasts. And so there was a lot of energy. I would say there was a lot of energy used in 2020 to educate people and to fight the good fight.
Is there something that you feel like has changed that you're happy about?
Not enough for me. There's a lot, not enough. And I can't really say I'm happy about anything that's particularly changed as far as equality on a large scale. There may be, smaller things. And I can see there are a lot of people that are companies that were, backing the movement, Black Lives Matter movement, and putting out statements, but I've yet to really, really see a lot of things come to fruition.
Do you think the collective consciousness has elevated it all?
Yes, definitely.
Does that help you?
It does help me, but it's also like this goalpost that keeps moving. I keep seeing how much work there is to be done, how much there, to really get where we need to go. There's still a long way to go.
What would be what you would like to see happen?
Proportional representation. And that's for everybody. And what I mean by that, let's say we are 14% Black people, 14% Latinos, or 18%. I would like to see 14% in leadership positions, 18% Latinos in leadership positions, leadership roles, CEOs around the country, all these different things. On representation in television and media, I would like to see that. I think that would help out a lot.
If you're interested in learning more about the photographer, you can check out more of their images and stories on our website, scop.io, and buy our book on any major online retailer or your local bookstore. Tune in to our next episode.